The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back, closing it out with Littell, Mark Littell. You're the closer, my man, and you're on the disability DL. You're coming back. Haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. Are you all right? What's happening?
Well, I'm getting there, Ralph, and I
Okay.
sound good, and I put on a good face, but we had some little invasive surgery, so everything they cleaned out an artery, and I never thought they could, but I guess they can now. So a little bit over close to 2 years they've been working on it, and I got lucky enough to get into where they connected two lasers and shot through, and they went through both femoral arteries instead of one, and so that's what happened, and I actually can breathe. I got to go do it again. So whatever. So fun on the table for about a little bit over 4 hours.
How invasive is this? Is this through a stent or?
No, they didn't stent it because they just did a laser, and it's on the end of whatever they shoot in there, and then they went from one angle and then went from another angle, and they shot in, and they met. So that's what happened. I was kind of impressed.
Okay, now, what you were saying that you were having trouble breathing beforehand?
Yeah, your heart was hurting, and because I've got, my heart's kind of okay, but my arteries suck. So that's kind of like the case of pretty much summing it up. But it's the, DNA, bad parents, that whole thing, And,
you haven't had bypass or anything at this point?
I've had triple bypass, carotid artery. I've had my legs cleaned out. I'm a walking time bomb. So there you go. It's pretty interesting. But since they cleaned that out, which I never thought they would, if calcification, I thought, my gosh, this is pretty incredible. The guy was 38 years old. He's from New Jersey, and he's out here in St. Louis area, and he has 5 boys at 38, and so he's pretty much ready to plow into somebody, so he plowed into me. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that this is the first of two.
Yeah.
Or is it?
I'll go back in December sometime, and about the 19th or so, and then they'll do the same thing. And I was really surprised, but I was over 4 hours on the table, and when I got up, I was very impressed that I could actually breathe, and I can't wait to actually see what happens on this second one. So it's new stuff coming into the world, and there's people can actually smile to look forward to something. Actually, I think this is great. Technology. So
absolutely,
outstanding.
Absolutely. That's the best part of it all, is that hopefully technology will extend our lives and make our lives more enjoyable and all those things, and hopefully they'll be able, with technology, to take care of the ecology someday and reverse all the craziness so we could get our world back. But Mark, I'm sorry you're going through all of this. That I feel for you, my friend.
Well, Ralph, you've been a really good friend, and appreciate your thoughts, and I know you were thinking about me, and I was you as well. But it was time to start breathing again, I guess. So that's what happened.
Now, you live in Arizona, and you're having this done in St. Louis. Is there a reason for that?
Well, the St. Louis doctors, I like them a lot, and they seems like the further east you go, sometimes the better you get. I don't know about better, but they're a little bit more creative, and also onto the newer technologies. And I'm aware of St. Louis medicine, and so I thought it was the right place to go. And I'm going to be moving back here anyway, actually, to St. Louis. Yep. I'm going to go there. I want to go here, hopefully, real soon, and my wife and I will be moving back into the area. And
is she a native Missourian? Is that how you?
Oh no, she's an Arizona girl. She's a Scottsdale queen, and so Scottsdale queen meets country hick. So here we go.
Well, what I want to know is how Scottsdale queen will adjust to There are winners.
Well, the doggone. Well, you eat more biscuits and cornbread, and I eat more green broccoli, I guess.
Okay. All right. Will you miss Arizona, and what will you miss most about it?
Well, I do. I would miss Arizona. I would miss it. And there's a lot of good things. The best time of the year is out of four out of 5 months, which is happening right now. But when it gets up to 115, you don't miss that. The thing about Arizona pretty much is Phoenix, and so if you live in Phoenix, you got 5 million people. So that can go bye-bye. But it's a very pretty state. It's a diverse state. You can get to water in Mexico at Rocky Point in 2.5 hours, and that's a plus. So there's a lot of pluses. And baseball is prevalent during spring training. Obviously, it's there for you and anybody else that wants to go to have a baseball mecca for 2 months basically.
Let's talk, if you might. Would you explain why the St. Louis baseball Cardinal fans are the most unique in the country? I'll just ask you that.
Well, I think actually that's a really good question, and it comes back to back in the day of them being the largest, and if I'm not mistaken, still the largest in the radio network. They had 120. They had 128 affiliates at one time. I remember, and it went over so many states. I remember when I was in rookie ball, I was up on the top of a mountain on a bus ride, and I had a little radio, and I got Cardinal baseball way up in the middle of nowhere. I was like, golly, I got Cardinal baseball, and I was 18 years old. But the thing is, the Cardinal fans is, there's a really big 200-mile plus radius here of, you get into Illinois, you get Cub fans you bump into, but then you go into Iowa, you get Cub fans, but, it's all Cardinal. Then you bump into, there's a line for the, the Royals, and then there's a line down around on the southern end where Texas Rangers come into play a little bit. If they'd win a little bit more, they'd have a little bit more, but, they're more Cardinal in Arkansas, too. And you've got the AAA team in Memphis, and you have the AA team in Springfield, Missouri. So that's a given right there. You're only 4.5 hours from Memphis to St. Louis if they want to see, big baseball. So there's a big following right there. But over the course of time, I have to say the affiliates and, the fact that, they put, the Browns in here and then St. Louis, Cardinals took over eventually. That was a given baseball town in the Midwest, and that's what this whole country thrived on was small time baseball, in the little leagues and the town ball and things of that nature. And they went to see
what Cardinals stars when you were a kid did you follow on the radio? Who did you grow up rooting for? Well,
no doubt Stan Musial, Stan the Man at first. And they got a bridge, the big bridge over here is now Musial Bridge, and Stan Musial Bridge. And
I have a picture of myself in front of the Stan Musial statue when it was at previous Busch Stadium. There's been like 3 of them now, am I correct?
That's exactly right. And so, I mean, that's our big guy, Ralph.
Yeah. What was meeting him like? What were you able? Was it like? I could talk to this guy, or were you just in total awe where words would come out, or I mean, not later on in life, but when you first met him as a young player.
Well, the interesting thing is I first met Stan really in old Colt 45 Stadium down in Houston. And back then the players kind of came out of the dugout and went to the bus. It was like a AAA ballpark anyway. And you could see them building in the background right there. At night you could see the dome being built. And then So you got to talk, hey, you guys from St. Louis, that's great. Yeah. So he always said, yeah. And, then when he was in the locker room, he played the harmonica and he kind of horsed around a little bit. And then I got a story in my next book coming out. I played catch with Stan over Dominican Republic, and it's really funny because, I was out there and we had a spring training gig or 2 games over in Dominican Republic against the Phillies. And so we, both teams flew over, stayed at the hotel for a couple of nights. We played a game each day. And, Stan went on the trip because he had some business over there. He was a hotel Mongol in a sense, to a degree. I guess he had some business. And so Stan had his uniform on, his old uniform, and he was out on the old dugout, and there was about 4 players out there. Then there was, Boyer, Claude Osteen, Ricketts, Jack Kroll, Hal Lanier, pretty much the coaching staff was sitting there, and they were all sitting on the bench. And Stan was by himself down at the end, and he had one foot on a step, and he had his first baseman there, and he had the old Cardinal uniform with the old Redbird logos. And so I was already out there, and I looked at Stan, and I was, 40, 50 feet off. I yelled, and I said, "Hey, Stan!" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Hey, you want to play catch?" And he said, and he looked, and he said, "Yeah, let's play some catch."
Oh,
And so,
you're a ballsy guy, country.
It was fun. So anyway, Stan.
You were just, Stan, he was just like a teammate, just like another guy, too.
Yeah.
That,
he loved it. Yeah. It was great.
And you played catch with him.
Well, get this. Here's the good part. So we're playing catch, and the 5 guys are over there wanting to know if I'm going to kill him. And so anyway, but Stan, he's catching the ball, and he's whipping around. He's sidearm, and he's doing this, and got some movement, and kind of, jazzing it up a little bit out there. And that's what I say. He's jazzing it up out there, having fun. And so I start jazzing it up a little myself. And so Boyer kind of comes out of the dugout on my end and stands down, toward the screen side, toward the home plate side, and we're playing catch, and KB, Ken Boyer, so he's got his arms crossed as usual, and he walks out and he says, "Hey, country." And, Kenny liked me. That's what they all did. And he said, "Hey, country." And I said, "Yeah." He says, "You know who you're playing catch with, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, that'd be the man." I said, "The man." And he said, "Well, let me tell you something." I said, "What's that?" He said, "If you want the man to be around, you better back it off." I said, oh, okay. Stan, incoming. That's what I yelled to him.
If I'm not mistaken, the man got his nickname, the man, in New York, where he come in and absolutely destroyed the Giants and Dodgers.
Didn't know that.
I think the expression initially was, "Here comes that man again."
Really?
Yeah,
I'm gonna look that one up, Ralph. That's a good one.
I'll look that up too, but if I'm not mistaken, that's where it originated. The man was, here comes that man. He would destroy Brooklyn and the Giants as well, but Brooklyn especially. Oh yeah.
Well, then you had other guys. You had Kurt Simmons was a pitcher, and then you had Bill White, and then you had Gibson, of course, he had gotten there, and then you had McCarver and Grote, and then you got Torrey and Shannon and Kurt Flood in center. And I had the privilege to meet Kurt Flood in San Francisco and shake his hand and say, "Hey, thank you." And then I thought that was pretty cool. That was a big deal to me. And
yes.
And then of course you had Bob Skinner and interesting names. Yeah.
Speaking of New York and a teammate you just mentioned, Bill White.
Yes.
I don't know if he was a teammate, but he was a famous Cardinal. Do you know that Bill White came up as a New York Giant?
No, I did not.
He did play for the New York Giants originally, and then went into the service around the time that the Giants and the Dodgers were moving out west. And when the Giants moved out west, they had Willie McCovey, and first they had Cepeda, and then Willie McCovey to play first. So they traded Bill White to the Cardinals for a pitcher named Sam Toothpick Jones, who won 20 games for the Giants in 1959, and damn near took him to a pennant. But in the long term, the winner of that trade had to be the Cardinals. He was solid for them for like 10, 12 years at first base.
Yes.
What was he like when you met him?
Bill White he's just real down to earth guy, just kind of quiet, you know. I think you had to corner some of those guys, and they were all pretty nice, you know, tell you the truth. And they're all very cordial. You know, sometimes they aren't, but the ones that I had gotten around, most of them had not blown you off. And I remember the first time I met Koufax in St. Louis, you know, shaking his hand when I was like 13 or 14 years old, and his hand just wrapped around my hand. I thought, my gosh, you know, this is the biggest hand I've ever seen. He's only maybe budging 6'2", and, you know, thin, lanky, and dynamic arm, long arms, appendages, great basketball player at University of Cincinnati. Yes.
Former hoopster at University of Cincinnati, and he played guard for them right before Oscar Robertson.
Didn't know that.
He was a terrific basketball player.
I could see it too.
Brooklyn, New York.
Then, you know, Gibson was he was a globetrotter, and he was a basketball player as well, and he was from I think he went to Creighton, actually, University of Omaha.
I was going to say he was an excellent basketball player. In those days, the Globies had some really talented ball players. Chamberlain played for them for a while between he graduated Kansas and couldn't go pro. In those days, he didn't graduate. He dropped out of Kansas and couldn't get to the NBA because your class had to graduate before you could be drafted. So he played with the Globetrotters for a year or two, and I think that their careers with the Globies might have crossed. But I know Tim McCarver, you and Tim McCarver have spent some time together, and Tim McCarver was the guy that knew Gibson best in terms of how to relate to bats. Keep off the mouth.
Well, Gibby wouldn't pitch to anybody but McCarver for a little bit once they hooked up, and then he wouldn't also. He said, "I ain't pitching unless Maxwell's behind me at shortstop."
Oh, really?
Those two guys in particular.
That was a very underrated guy, Cal Maxwell.
He was.
Solid at short. You have great memories. When you think of yourself as a ball player, you play with Kansas City. You pitch for Kansas City as well. Do you think of them first, or do you think of the Cardinals first in terms of your career?
Well, I have to hold allegiance to the Royals because I went with them first, but I also hold allegiance in a sense because I came up and watched Cardinal baseball. So it's just different ways of looking at things. I was fortunate to have played both for those and being from the state of Missouri. I just found out, Ralph, I'm the only player from the state of Missouri that, you know, I'm from here and has played for both teams that has not played outside the state of Missouri. So it's kind of interesting. No big deal.
Okay.
Just a little
that is very
nudge.
interesting.
Little nudge.
Yes.
So,
you play with George Brett.
Right. Yep. We both signed out of high school, 18 years old.
I recently saw a YouTube film of when the pine tar instance took place. Yeah. And if you take a good look at George Brett, there was intensity there, an anger, something going. Did you ever see that beyond, except for that instance, when he played? Did he exhibit that? He wasn't. It just came out of the blue. You always thought of this cool, laid-back guy, but his intensity was incredible that day. And
well, George,
I wonder if it showed itself on a regular basis like that.
Well, yeah, I've seen George like that before. It's just that he just didn't show it in front of the crowd. But, I said that George was, probably if you ask any player from the 70s, maybe 80s even, who was the calmest, coolest player out there, they just think for 2 seconds, they look up at you and they say, George Brett. But, most fans would say, well, it wasn't real cool when he did the pine tar thing. Well, yeah, he was pissed, and so, he came out of his element. But, when he's between the lines, he's just like gravy out there. He's all over, and he just, hey, let's play. And but Georgie,
his older brother.
Yeah, know them all. Yeah.
Someone told me that his older brother was perhaps, when they were coming up, was perhaps a better hitter than George.
Okay, you're talking about Ken then. Okay, because Ken, that's what everybody they say, and well, I got to disagree with that, but
okay.
I think Kenny was a right-handed hitter, and he's left-handed hitter because he's left-handed, but he was left-handed all the way. And then they got John, Ken, George, and Bobby, and then George in that order. Yep. And then that's the four brothers.
Owned some minor league teams out on the West Coast.
Well, he and George, own those, and Bobby just kind of runs them. You got the brains and the brawn. So that's kind of like
okay. I got you because one of the teams
I could think
of was the Eugene. What they called themselves then, but they were the Kansas City affiliate, the Maine M's, as a matter of fact. And
Spokane team is that's one, and then they have the hockey team in Spokane as well. That's a minor league hockey team.
Oh,
so they do those. They used to have some interest, if I'm not mistaken, in El Paso, and so. Maybe not anymore, but that El Paso stadium is just, they say, absolutely gorgeous. Chihuahuas, they call it the Chihuahuas now. And
what was your favorite minor league? You were a minor league coach, pitching guru for many, many years. Was it where I met you in the California League? Was that your favorite minor league experience?
Probably true as far as coaching. You're right. Okay. It's well, I was there for 6 years. I was at High Desert the very first year, and then 5 at Stockton. And then I thought I was going to run for mayor one time, but
Stockton.
yeah, and then
you'd have come across a Max Paulson kid.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, the Paulsons owned Stockton.
Paulson, yes, that's right. Funny thing, Ralph, I saw that stadium out there in the steel thing, the pig irons. That stadium. Yeah, that's gorgeous. And I thought, wow, it's got to be the biggest Coke.
You played, or you coached when you were there.
Mm-hmm.
It's state of the art all the way. Modesto has a new stadium as well.
I've heard that. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But I remember the pig irons. That's the biggest Coke sign I've ever seen. I asked the guy I was with, who owns this thing? He said, the Coke guy. I said, of course. Of course he does.
They put their name on it. They were going to call it Pepsi there for a while, but they made a corporate decision that Coke is not going to call it Pepsi. But in any event, you are in good voice, and it's only 4 or 5 days after surgery.
Yeah, I kind of got to watch it a little bit, but I'm with Ralph today, and I'm gonna peel out of here in just a little bit. But no, I breathe a lot better when I know when he busted through and there was more blood flow. I could go, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, it was all good. Mm-hmm.
All right. When you say walking time bomb, that bomb could be set for 40 years from now. Just remember that.
Exactly right. Yep. I think we're all. It doesn't matter. We all go through our struggles and stuff, and everybody's got issues. It's just not me. There's a lot of people out there, and that's the way it goes. So
I know.
We walk and try to make the best.
Before I let you go, I just want to let everybody out there know, if you haven't heard Mark before, you haven't heard this show, Mark is very, very active in helping veterans. I happen to be a veteran, so that's one of the first things that comes to mind when I see those who help and those who don't help. And not just ball players, politicians, business people. I really want to thank you for your service to the veterans, Mark. You
thanks, Ralph.
spent a lot of your personal time going both in your Kansas City, Jersey, and in your St. Louis, Jersey, depending on where you are in Missouri and which veteran home you visit. You make a lot. I can imagine being in there and having a major league ball player come down the aisle, come down the the hall.
You know what, Ralph? It's fun just to listen to those guys because of the stories that they got, and I've got a couple of really good stories from these guys, Ralph. And it was really neat. I've been in like 5 or 6 states now, and that I've traveled to, and I'm going to do more. I'll probably be doing a little bit more, a lot more in February. We're going to cut it back right here for a little bit, but I'll be pretty busy starting February again in the VA scene. And they got the new thing coming up too, Wreaths Across America, which is around December 15th. I think that's in Washington D.C. To make sure that all veterans have a wreath on their on their grave. And in the country,
nice.
They
should be remembered. And one of the nice things that Trump has done and accomplished, he's getting the remains of late soldiers and Marines from North Korea. He's getting them returned.
I don't know if it's him, but I tell you what, somebody's working at it. So I think it's wonderful that they're taking
his administration.
Right direction.
He should be giving credit for that because he's gotten a lot of bum raps for a lot of other things, deservedly so. Deservedly, he should be credited for at least dealing with these people to get some closure for these families. Sometimes it's grandkids. No one's left in the family sometimes, but they're bringing these remains back, and I think that's terrific.
I think it's hard to believe as a family member to imagine that those remains did come back to this country. You try to put yourself in their shoes, and what are they feeling, and then to sit there and say in this casket or in this box or whatever they got that this is my relative.
It's just again, it's closure is everything, and part of the mourning process that we've learned over the years does involve closure. So it gives me hope that further negotiations where we could have peace in this world. There's a possibility for that.
Without a doubt.
Mark, really nice talk. It's always just a pleasure to talk to your country.
You too, Ralph.
we're doing this for a while now, and the fact that you were in peril really upset me. So I'm glad. Is the next procedure, I just want to ask you, is that going to be as invasive, or are they going to be able to build?
No, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, okay. Pretty much the same, and they're going to open up another one, and then I'm actually a little bit anxious. I didn't like the part where you hurt on the table, but that, so what? No pain, no gain.
Right.
So there you go.
That's what they say.
Right.
Mark, hang in there, my friend.
Yep. Appreciate it. Had a great talk, Ralph. It was a good one.
All right. Be well, and Comfortably Zone Radio Network, if you're listening, it's Mark Littell, former Major League Baseball player, talking to me, Ralph Tycho, and I'm privileged. Thanks again, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a terrific day. The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.